What was important, I think, for this house is we really saw that there's certain homes that have a value already invested in it that really needs to be continued. In some ways, I do feel like it was important for a couple like us to come in and keep the home, not tear it down, and preserve it.
Whoa, nutmeg! That's for two.
My name is Anyele Halova,
And I'm Ed Hala
and we live at House Holovy in Northeast Portland.
with our two children, Lafayette and Seraphine.
I grew up in Deerfield Beach, Florida, and Ed and I met on a beach in Key West. I was doing an internship with a landscape architect there, and he was working and living there.
I'm originally from Czech Republic. I came to United States in 2001. Came for 3 months. It has been 21 years.
When I first saw him, he was sitting next to me on the beach, and he was reading some stocks, like charts. And so I looked over and was like, who reads stocks on the beach and graphs? I later on learned that he was trading future commodities. And I was reading probably People magazine or something at the time.
And then we got married on the same beach a couple years ago after that. So in 2007, I got together with one of my schoolmates from university, and he needed to open a US office. So we got together, and I moved from Atlanta to Portland and started a business.
I always thought that I might live on the West Coast, and so I think it was an adventure for both of us. Initially, we were looking for a piece of land to build a new house, and we were having a hard time finding vacant land. I was working on a development project a couple blocks away from here, and so I started to get ideas of, well, I really like this neighborhood. It'd be great to find a house in this area, and lo and behold, this house was for sale, and we fell in love with it when we came, partly because of all the really unique architectural features of the house, and also because a lot of it hadn't been modified over the years.
The house was not in a good shape, and the landscape was also covering, so the house was sort of hidden. It's like you couldn't appreciate its beauty or architecture.
The whole house was covered in white carpet.
It was a thick white carpet. It was a thick curtains covering all the windows.
When we pulled back some of that white carpet, we saw that the original hardwood floors were still beautiful and had barely been touched.
Once you start peeling it off, it brought the light and the look that we like, oh, there's something here.
It was uncovering some of the hidden beauties that were inherent in the house.
It's the spirit of the place. Once you walk in, it's like, oh, this feels good. And if you have that, then you can build on that.
We bought our home from the Graham family, and the Graham family have been here for 46 years, according to the records, and when they bought it in the 1970s. We also know from talking to members of the family that used to live here that this was really a social hub for many people in the neighborhood. A lot of dinner parties were made here, a lot of cousins and nephews and uncles. So there was very much, I think, a rich community.
Yeah, I still get DMs from people that are like, oh, I grew up in the house, that was my aunt, my uncle. What is really nice is that the feedback is positive. How people that were connected to the community and to the house still come and actually ring the door and say, good job. It's like, oh, I'm glad you did something with the house. I'm glad you renovated so well.
I think that's one part of the feedback too, is they're just so happy that we bought the house because it was so beloved, and that we kept it and renovated and kept it really true to what people remember. Our house was built in 1924, and it's a Prairie-Style house. The architecture exaggerates the horizontal plane of the building, so it's kind of stretching it out. You can see that with the overhang of the house. It's very deep. What's great about that, even though it's not typical for the Pacific Northwest, is that there's very large windows and they allow a lot of light in. And the exterior of the house is clad in brick. And actually, it's a clinker brick, which is a really unique form of brick. When they used to fire brick, it's the brick that was located on the outside, and it would warp and distort. And so typically those bricks were discarded and not used in the construction of the house. And so it's very rare, from what I've heard, to find a whole entire house covered in clinker brick. The original design of the door was very unique, but we needed to replace it because it was in pretty bad shape.
We really enjoy this massive door.
We decided to replicate the original door's design, and we were able to save the knocker that was on the original door and put it back on this door. So when you walk into the house, you come into a foyer area, and then to the left is a dining room.
There's an interesting element that we kept. There was multiple sliding doors that were in the house, but that's the one place that we kept the original sliding door.
And to the right is a living room. And in the living room, one of the unique features of this house is this very high baseboard and the very deep crown molding. That's one of the elements we definitely wanted to preserve. And also in the living room is a very large fireplace. And there were moments where we said, should we, refinish it with new tile? Instead, we decided to keep it. It has a really unique Dutch motif.
Part of the design of the house was also that we are both busy professionals and we want to have a home office. So we took this space that was originally just an outdoor porch.
In the front of the house, next to the living room.
And we converted it into office space. And we created this very nice working environment that it's filled with sun and daylight. So we kept the front of the house, 1 to 3 rooms in a historic design. Then we added the modern addition as a kitchen. That was the biggest difference because we moved the kitchen from north side of the house to the south.
So once we left the living room, this area marks the transition between the old part of the house and the new part of the house. This area used to be the office and now is this breakfast nook. And we have this modern new arch that leads into the kitchen, which is the new extension of the house.
So I think this is our most used area because we spend lots of time in our kitchen. Nice. That looks good. Thank you.
Welcome.
And then the kitchen is really nicely connected to the outdoor space. So when you have a sunny day like today, the doors are open and it just flows very nicely.
You have a direct connection to the outdoors through 3 sliding window/wall doors. What's great about that transition between the kitchen and the cabana is that there's an indoor-outdoor relationship. Even if it's raining or really bright sunshine outside, we have a covered space that's connected. And so that really becomes our outdoor living room.
Who made this delicious salad?
There are places that we wanted to blend in with historic, but there's places we wanted to clearly mark modern architecture as being important. We realized that there was a texture and a pattern that came with the clinker brick that created a lot of shadow and light. It was very unique. And so we decided with our architect to put on a shingle. The shingle pattern creates that same level of texture and depth, really provided a mark between the old part of the house and the new part of the house. The mezzanine level, which is now our family room, was actually one of the most challenging parts of our house renovation. This part of the house actually was falling kind of slightly down. And so we actually had to spend a lot of time kind of rebuilding this side of the house and redoing the brick on the exterior side of the house. And you can see in this room that the fireplace and the way that it looks now is really showing the original house and how that it was slanted. And we like that aspect of it because it is a reminder of all the work that went into rebuilding this part of the house. One of the things that we did to the original house is we actually moved the stair back to this space and then opened up this whole interior of the house and introduced the skylight, which brings a lot of light into the space and really brightens this space up. I think it's a kind of a place for joy and adventure because you don't really know what interesting sights you're going to see in the stairwell.
We were thinking how families do and operate, and we have a sort of this formal living room, but then we put the sofas across each other so we can have a conversation. But then, as a modern family, we need TV, we need books, we need, board games, and that's all happened here in the mezzanine in the family room.
And the stairs lead up to our bedrooms. There's 3 bedrooms on the second floor. The primary bedroom is the same shape as it was before. We wanted a very calming bedroom for ourselves and kind of a Scandinavian spa-like quality. And so keeping all of the walls, including the fireplace white, kind of toned down the size of the fireplace. When my sister and her husband were living with us, right when they were leaving, they decided to give us a gift. And this is 2 drawings, one of my daughter and the other my son. And it was really special to get those as a present from him because it really captured a moment in time that we had together. Prior to living in Portland, we lived in Atlanta, and I was practicing as an urban designer. I actually had a lot of clients who were interested in sustainability, but when it came down to it, they were starting to take the sustainable parts of the project out. And so I started to think, well, if I was the client or the developer, I could make better choices with regard to environmental issues. When I moved to Portland, I kind of took that as an opportunity to switch professions from urban design to real estate development. And then at the end of 2020, I decided to start my own company with a focus on design, sustainability, and also equity, and creating spaces and places for people who don't usually have access to real estate investment and ownership, so Black, Indigenous, and people of color. This neighborhood and kind of Northeast Portland had a lot of transition, a lot of European immigrants initially, and then over time, this neighborhood became an African-American community. One of the reasons that this neighborhood stayed predominantly African-American had to do with a practice called redlining that happened in communities all throughout the United States. The deeds for houses said that African-Americans couldn't live in those houses, and that pretty much happened across the city of Portland, except for this area. So while this community was very vibrant, there was also that lack of investment that was given into the community, which is one of the reasons a lot of the houses fell in disrepair.
The house is not isolated from the street, it's not isolated from the neighborhood. The old design cannot be isolated, the new design cannot be isolated. And we spend lots of deliberate process to make sure that we're designing something within the context of our times and our neighborhood and our community.
We really ideally wanted a house that reflected who we were design-wise, and this was really a chance to create that house. So we plan to stay here for a very long time. Definitely our kids are going to grow up in this house.
This is our home, and no place is perfect. It's always the work that you put in. Celebration.
Okay, let's break.